Hi, I'm Cassidy Anhorn, and I'm feeling excited. Nervously excited. Usually I drive to the show, so my pre-show ritual is to just sing in my car on the way to the venue. I'm embarrassed to admit this, but my current vibe is the Josie and the Pussycat soundtrack. Are you familiar? It could be anything, though.
We love to make you laugh. You're very with all the jokes we have. You're very funny. That's why we do what we do. You're very we love to make you laugh. You're very Vancouver, we love your laugh. It's YVR Funny.
Welcome to the stage, Cassidy Anhorn!
Hello, everyone. How's it going? Oh, great. I can tell what you're all thinking. You're like, she looks familiar or she has a familiar vibe, but I'm not really sure what it is. So I'll help you with that. A few shows back, this guy came up to me at the end of the show and was like, do you know who you remind me of? So I'm expecting he's going to say like a good comedian. And he says, you remind me of Spinelli from Recess. It's fine, I'll take it. During the last few years, I feel like I've kind of lost my sense of style. I've just been doing like the reverse miscongeniality, where I'm getting ugly and meaner. It's fine. I'm at like a weird point in my life where everyone on reality TV is younger than me, and it's sick. I'm gonna be on my deathbed like, I never went to Love Island. Yes. Yeah, so I'm in my late 20s, and I feel like as you get older, society pressures you to have boring hair. You know, when I was younger, I had like long purple hair, and then I had an undercut, and I actually had a mullet at one point. Not on purpose, it kind of like snuck up on me, you know? Yeah, I think mullets are actually a beautiful thing though, because it's like queer leftists on one side, rednecks on the other. What do they have in common? The mullet. World peace. I'm not saying that your haircut dictates your sexuality, but back in my mullet days, a woman asked me if I fixed bikes. Yeah, I'm not gay because of my haircut. I'm gay because my first job was at Mark's Work Warehouse, all right? Get it straight. I actually did go through a bit of a straight phase where I only dated straight women. Yeah, don't worry. I am in a gay-on-gay relation now. Yeah, we've been together for almost 4 years, or in white people parenting terms, 47 months. So cute. Maybe I just live in this queer bubble, but I actually don't understand straight couples. You know, I don't get it. Like, you have nothing in common. What do you do? Like, in my mind, straight couples just sit in the dark and listen to the Joe Rogan podcast. No, you guys have evolved. Straight culture is incessantly telling me to watch Ted Lasso. I won't. I don't like sports. Speaking of straight people, part of my family was like, we're so glad that things are opening up again so we can go on cruises. Cruises are like the Truman Show, but you did it to yourself. I don't get it. I would never go on a cruise unless I was feeling really bad about myself, like self-esteem-wise, because on land, I'm like a 6 to 8, depending on how much effort I'm putting in. But at sea, I'm like a 10. I'm hot on international waters. Unless it's one of those gay man orgy cruises, then I am a 1. And that's okay. I was talking about getting older. I'm in my late 20s. And I'm really glad about like when I grew up though, because I think young people nowadays are so chronically online and it scares me. Like everything is so accessible. Like how to dress hot, what skincare to use, how to make homemade explosives. It's just like all laid out for you. And they don't have the character building exercise of being ugly with no solution. You were just ugly. Yeah, like I had to get my fashion advice from 17 magazine. You don't know how many hours I spent flipping through, like, how do I dress banana body type? Ugg boots, lacy tank top, and leggings, great. I do think one problem with my generation, though, is like we were the guinea pigs for the first email address. Yeah, because we didn't have anyone older than us to be like, just make it your name. Just make it your name. So my first email address, my dad helped me make it when I was 8. Why does an 8-year-old need an email address? Good question, they do not. So I had it, and it was pineapple27@shaw.ca. Yeah, thank you. Not really sure why, because pineapple. Yeah, I like them. This is not my favorite fruit. 27. That number means nothing to me. But I didn't understand that it wasn't cool until a few years later. I was probably like 10. So for my birthday, my mom was like, what do you want? So I said, Lululemon yoga pants. And so my mom took me to Lululemon. I was trying them on. And in my mind, the sales associate was really hot. And so then my mom was buying them for me. And the hot sales associate was like, can I get your email address? And 10-year-old me was like, yeah, the hot sales associate wants my email address, but they have to ask you that. Anyway, so I confidently said pineapple27@shaw.ca. And I'll never forget this. She laughed in my face. And then she said, what, is that like your favorite fruit? To which I said, no. And then she laughed at me again. So I went home and was like, Dad, I need to change my email address so I can go back to Lululemon to buy something, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, the whole point is, how do my parents not know I was gay? Like, I did tell them my first crush was on Legolas from Lord of the Rings, which is inherently queer no matter how you identify. That's gay. Also, I was a cheerleader in high school, which to the naked eye may seem very heterosexual. But actually, it's the only sport where you have to look up a girl's skirt for safety reasons. So we are reclaiming that as the most sapphic sport. Yeah. I do think it's great nowadays. There's so much more representation everywhere in media. Like growing up for me, apart from Spinelli, I felt like I didn't really have that much representation. Everything was kind of through like the cis, white, male gaze. But I finally did find my representation. I went to a strip club, and the stripper had the exact same nipples as me. Yeah, it's just like so nice to see yourself on a stage. So I hope I can be that for some of you. I like to think of myself as a very open-minded person, like I'm a strong woman, but the other day I did meet a dog that was on its period, and my first thought was, ew, gross. Am I a bad feminist? You know, it's just like so hard. Like being a person with a uterus is so hard. Like for me, it's like what? I get paid 78 cents to the dollar and I can't resell my mattress? Damn you, patriarchal economy. All right, thank you guys so much.
I love so many things about stand-up, but I think one thing I love is, this is gonna sound bad, but I like just talking to an audience and having them have to listen to me a lot of the time. But another thing is, I know sometimes people are having like a crappy day and then they just wanna laugh, and so then they get to come to a show and I get to make them laugh and make them feel better. And that's nice. I still get nervous every time I do stand-up. I thought by now that I would just not care, but I still, every time, I'm a little nervous ball before I go on the stage. But I guess that's good. I don't really hate that. It keeps me on my toes and keeps me regular. I wish they understood that we get paid like absolutely nothing to do stand-up. It's an art form, but if you're handed a 20, we're like, thank you so much. So I wish we got paid better because it takes a lot of effort to write all the jokes and drive to the venue and say the jokes and not get free drinks a lot of the time either. I don't even drink when I do stand up, but still I'm like, I can't even get a Coke for free. What's going on? One of my big influences was Beth Stelling. I saw her, I think it was a Netflix special or something like that, and I loved her style and the way she told jokes and her attitude, so that made me want to start. And also Margaret Cho, she's so freaking cool. I'm not that cool, but I aspire to be. You had Beth Stelling on your show, and then you let me open for her. Open, I'm gonna say finger quotes, open for her. And I was so excited. And then she mentioned me in her set, and I died. I don't remember when I discovered stand-up was a thing necessarily, but I was always really into Saturday Night Live, Whose Line Is It Anyway, which is more sketch and improv. And then, honestly, when I was 18, my dad suggested that I do stand-up for some reason, and I was like, absolutely not. And then I guess that seed kind of stayed with me, and then, so I don't know when I discovered, I think I always knew it existed. My parents were comedy fans. The first time I did stand-up, my roommate at the time and I used to go to this show on Tuesday nights at the Kino Cafe, which is no longer. And then occasionally they would let new people go up for 3 minutes and just do a quick spot. And so I saw that and I said, I'm gonna do it. So I asked the showrunner if I could do a spot, and he said, sure, in 2 weeks, come back, you can do a spot. So I went on stage and I was so nervous and I talked so fast, but people laughed, and afterwards he was like, great, come back next week. But I don't remember any of the jokes. I think they were really bad, and I deleted all voice recordings and any sort of written proof of the jokes because they were just not good. But I do remember that I mentioned Al Gore at some point in one of the jokes. I don't know why, but it was some good Al Gore stuff. I don't really think I got that much bad advice from anyone when I was starting out. One time a man that I didn't really know at all tried to give me a tip on how to change my joke, and it was a horrible, his bit that he was trying to give to me was bad, so I just said no, and then he didn't like me after that, which whatever. So I've had some unsolicited advice. If I trust someone or I base level know them, then I will listen to their advice. But if you're a stranger, maybe don't give comics bad advice on their jokes. The first piece of advice that I received was so basic. It was just move the mic stand. The very first time I did stand-up, I forgot to move the mic stand. Other good advice that wasn't really given to me, but I just heard from some comedian was, if you make stories about yourself and your personal experiences, no one can steal them. And I've had some jokes or joke premises stolen from me in the past. So I think I try to make things somewhat personal, just so they're kind of trademarked as my jokes. I either notice something in the wild and I'm like, that's kind of weird. I think everyone thinks that's weird. And then I'll just write a little note in my phone, and then when I'm in the mood to write, then I revisit it and flesh it out. Or I'll just be doing something random, brushing my teeth or about to go to sleep, and a punchline will just pop into my head. Kind of how Trixie Mattel always will say random things like, I didn't think we'd ever see Denise Richards again, or I don't know, whatever, a random saying will just come into my head. So from the Notes app, I then have a Word document that I write everything in, and then I kind of put ideas, and then from the ideas, then I'll take that and put that into a more official Word doc of good ideas that are full jokes. And then I have a little notebook that I bring with me to every show where I write form my set, and then maybe little notes if a joke really hit or a joke didn't hit or I'm changing something around. So there's a few different moving parts there. Yeah, when I'm on a stage, if the audience isn't feeling it, you can tell right away, and you might need to pivot. Like sometimes for me, being in the moment is like, if no one's reacting, you kind of have to acknowledge that. You can't just like steam through. I mean, you can, but nothing will change. They're not gonna all of a sudden get on board, most likely. And like I notice if an audience is like super straight, then maybe my super queer jokes are not landing. So I have some sort of like good old reliables in the back of my head, like, okay, if I talk about this like massage joke or this thing about whatever, you know, everyone kind of likes that. So, and I have certain jokes that they're okay, but like straight people love them. And I think they're just whatever, so I'll just throw those out there sometimes. As far as a joke being done, being written, I think that I like to test out jokes. I say do it twice, and if no one laughs either times, throw it away. And then if people do, but you think it deserves more laughs, like always can be tweaked. I think I have some that are like finalized in the sense that I'm just like, they're old and people laugh, so they're good, they're solid. But I'm always like, sometimes in the moment I will tweak it slightly depending on the crowd, and then people laugh more, and then I'll write that down. So I'm always open to things changing. And sometimes just when I'm on stage, my brain just seems to work differently than when I'm off stage, and it's way smarter when I'm on stage, and it'll come up with something. So I'm open to that for sure. And then in terms of throwing away jokes or being done with them, yeah, I have a note. So in my notebook, I wrote down all the bits that I've ever written, and then I put like either like, yes, good joke, or stop doing this, or you know what I mean? And then if the joke is really old too, I get over it and I don't want to say it anymore. Like I get so tired of them. But then the other day, I was looking through my like notebook, and I thought, what if I bring back a joke from like 4 years ago, but now that my brain is better at writing jokes, I can punch it up, and now all of a sudden it's this new joke again. So always recycling. But I guess if it's like on camera, then it's like kind of done and dusted. I approach risk-taking by always pushing my goals of what I want to achieve further and further, and I didn't think I would ever be a show producer, and now here I am. I'm producing a show, and it's scary, but it's, you know, I think it's important for me to always push it further, because I kind of view it as like, what's the point? Like, or if I'm happy with the level I'm at, then that's fine, but like, let's be real, I'm not. So I'm always like looking to push that further. And in terms of like my jokes, I feel like my bigger risk now is to move away from jokes that are kind of expected, or, you know, anything that's like raunchy or sexual, and to move into a more like, I'm trying to do more clean jokes, honestly, because I mean, that's what like TV wants, but that's hard. To make clean jokes funny, it's so much harder. But that's kind of this new phase that I'm trying to go towards. If I could change anything about the comedy industry, I would say pay us more. And I would say when we cancel these influential people or local people, that doesn't mean that a year later we should just have them back doing huge tours and having them sell out venues. Like, how is that protecting anyone? It's so annoying. And I also think that women get so much, and non-binary people get so much hate online. Like, I kind of fear almost posting my sets online or any sort of clips, because I've just seen how much hate some non-men get. And so I wish we could change the culture of people just accepting that, like, some women are funny and most men are not funny, and it's not about like your gender at all. It's about just like individual people being able to, you know, be funny on a stage. So I would change that. Yeah, since I've started the local industry here in Vancouver, I've noticed there's so many more queer shows and female showrunners, which is amazing. Because when I started, it was kind of like just all these weird open mics run by some men that I like didn't know, which is fine. Like, they can have that as well. But yeah, I think there's just so many different shows, and now I think like there's shows that are dedicated to certain communities, which is fantastic. And I think it's just gonna continue. And I've only seen like minimal hate towards that. Like one time I was on a show and it was like a totally normal show, just like most of the people on it happened to be like either people of color or queer or whatever, but like to me the lineup looked just like a cool Vancouver lineup. And then all of a sudden on Instagram this one guy was like, oh, the woke show, and we're all like, what? Like, why you're mad because it's not a like all white man lineup? That's so weird. Like, I don't know. The most fun I had on a show, I got to do Las Culturistas, I don't think so, honey, for JFL Northwest, like 2019, I want to say. It was before COVID. And I'm like such huge fans of Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers, so to be in their presence on their stage was so fun, and it's just such a good energy in the room. And also being on that show with Beth Stelling, when, like I said, I got to open for her, that was really amazing. Yeah, during the pandemic, I didn't really do stand-up at all. I did one Zoom show at the tail end of, well, the pandemic didn't end, but like when things were all closed. I did one Zoom show before the reopening of everything, and I hated it so much because everyone had their, like, they're on mute, so you can't tell people are laughing, so it made me feel so self-conscious, like I was just talking to myself. So I kind of just stepped away from doing stand-up or any sort of comedy. I actually went more into writing, like screenwriting. That's kind of how I filled the artistic void during that time. And then when things reopened, I sort of slowly came back in, but I think it made me realize that it was important to me because I wanted to get back into it. Even having like a 2-year setback didn't stop me. So yeah, it reaffirmed that I do love doing stand-up. Yeah, like I said, I don't hate men, for the record. We're good. Yeah, but queer women do always have to say they don't hate men, but at the same time, I did kind of mention anti-men stuff a little bit in this interview, so, you know, here's my formal apology. Not really.
We love to make you laugh with all the jokes we have. That's why we do what we do. You're why we are funny. Richmond to Surrey, Delta and Deep Cove. We love to make you laugh. We love to make you laugh. We love to make you laugh. Vancouver, we love your laugh. It's YVR Funny.